So Chad, start with the four running backs we see, and any others you want to talk about. Run through them a little bit, what they're doing.
Tony Mathis is having a really good spring for us. It's great to see him carry the momentum that he had, that he finished the season with last year into this offseason. Had a really good offseason for us, and he's having a really good spring. And I say good spring. He's been consistent in his assignments, and the game is slowing down for him. And with the amount of repetitions he's had at the end of the season, and to the ones he's had now, he's playing. The game seemed to be slowing down for him. Seemed to be out there kind of free floating, improvising. Just being a football player, it's good to see. Justin Johnson is taking a huge step for us, and understands the offense really well, and has really done some good things, being able to make some plays in the run game and pass game. And Jay Dixon's really come on really since last Saturday. We just had a scrimmage. It's probably his best day since he's been here. That Saturday scrimmage. Just turns to just learning the offense and being confident in what he's doing and not flinching. So he's starting to come around, has some ability. Really good to see him. Got some speed. And then Jaylen Anderson, it's really his first football he's played, meaningful football, for a long time. And so he's still learning it. He has some really good ability with the ball in his hands. He's still learning it. Just got to continue to, learn the offense and be more confident. So I really like the way these guys are looking right now. They all skilled. They all got talent. Just got to continue to just, learn the offense and, slow it down for them a little bit.
Speak a little more to Tony. He's a guy that's publicly been committed to West Virginia.
Yeah.
And he talked about, I could have transferred when Letty was, but he's a guy that's committed to you and seems to be a guy that wants to do everything the right way and all of that.
Man, I love it, man. I love that kid. Man, competitive. I think competitiveness, man, it's almost like a lost art sometimes these days. And here's a kid, he's been through a lot. Really talented kid, and he'll be the first to tell you where he is right now. He was never there. Now he started to get there toward the end of last year, but even before he got there toward the end of last year, he wasn't there now. And to see his confidence where it is, I've always been honest with him. I've always been transparent where he is, the good and the bad. And for him to be able to, take that and, and want to get better and want to learn it and want to, strengthen his strengths and, strengthen his weaknesses as well and then see all that stuff, work for him and where he can go out there and make plays. It's been great. But his competitiveness, him sticking it out, and him understanding that we've always been there for him, and he had to continue to work to where he get to the point where he can make some plays. It's been great. But I love him. Be competitive.
This guy came into you and said, "Hey, how can I get better?" Right?
Yeah. So
that's kind of unusual these days, isn't it?
Very unusual. And then like when you're transparent and you're telling them things he need to get better at. Some of these kids, they're what they say in their terms, not real with themselves. Be real with me, coach. That kind of deal. And it's very honest with him, and didn't always sound good. You know what I mean? And you would think that most cases, kid would say, "No, that's not the case. I should be this. I do this. I did." He didn't do that. He was honest, showed him film, and that wasn't the case. And all that stuff we talked about, all those weaknesses, all things he needed to improve upon, he worked his butt off in the off season. He worked his butt off toward the end of last year, came back and he's done it. And that right now, he's taking his game to another level. He really has. It's been great to see it.
Where did he have to get better this offseason? Where did you want to see him make the biggest strides?
Just be a football player. Like I thought, he knows the offense really well. Thought that he was just pressing, just forcing things, just trying to make things happen. And doing that at the running back position can look real robotic sometimes, almost like how those playbook lines look in the playbook. They're just drawn straight out, those lines like that, whereas just let the game come to him. I remember this offseason, I said we went back and watched a lot of your runs last year. You had a lot of one-on-one situation where if you just be the football player, you were in high school when you weren't thinking. You was wearing rocking that Cedar Town uniform, man. You win a lot of those one-on-ones and go score. He said, so I just need to be a football player. Yeah, man, just be a football player. I got you. And then really from there, the kid's just being a football player. There's some runs that we have out there. He cut some of these runs back that, ain't really supposed to cut back, but it's hard to say anything when he go make a play with it, and so it's really refreshing to see. And coach said, "What you think?" So coach, sometimes the guys got to have the ability to be able to create. And it's been, we got great defense, and those guys make a lot of plays, and they win a lot of their one-on-ones, and sometimes they burst through the line. And he's been able to turn some plays that would typically be some TFLs into some big plays, a couple of touchdowns, so to the point where Taj Austin said, "Man, listen, Tony Mathis, boy, he keep us on our toes, man. They be telling us to shimmy down, man. And, boy, I see what they talking about. I got to shimmy on him, cause boy, he made me look silly last week. So that would be the biggest thing for him. Just just relax, be a football player. You know what you're doing. Don't be a robot. No need to press. Just let the game come to you and be a ball player.
So his vision is
It's great. It's great.
Yeah.
Like I'll be honest with you, that kid. It's great to see. Like I mean, he's he talks to Letty all the time. He did a great job. Letty did a great job with the kid, and he practices like elite in terms of how he finishes in terms of game like behavior. But the run game, he understands the run game. He understands pass game. He's caught like I think between the day, I think he caught like 3 or 4 balls a day. So 8 practices that'll put him at like 29 balls. He's caught 29 balls. That's really good. He's caught 29 balls in these 8 practices. So he understands pass game, understands pass pro. That's one of our biggest emphasis this spring was to improve on our pass pro. And I hope there's some wood right here, but we ain't got no missed blitzes thus far in 8 practices. So the game slowed down to him big time. I mean, the repetition that he's had and the discipline he's playing with, the way he's free floating and improvising is great to see.
You've got a whole group intact up front.
Mm-hmm.
How has that helped the running game? I know Graham has mentioned when you did the first day of install, outside zone was much better than he thought it was going to be.
Right.
Are you seeing some other things there from them, where it's helped the running game?
Yeah, their chemistry. Their chemistry is big time. Like I think those guys have been around Tony for 3 years now. Those guys, this will be I think their second, third year together up front. So they've seen how Tony's run the ball, how he works, and same with Justin for this past year or so. So the chemistry, I see the chemistry, I see the communication. Those guys out there. I told Zach Frazier last week. Tony Mathis said a mic check, front check last week, and Zach Frazier just stopped practicing, just turned around. Hey, you got 5, you got 10, you got this. It was a beautiful thing to see. Before some guys sometimes uncertain, they make little calls, and it's like, what do you say? And he said front check, mic check, and they turned around, and started pointing. That was a big deal. I mean, that just shows the trust and the chemistry between one another to do that. So that was huge. So the biggest thing is the chemistry and the trust between one another to know that, us from the backfield understand that they know who they're going towards, and we're going to help those guys bring the finish to them, vice versa. Helps big time. So I say the biggest thing is the chemistry and the trust.
Last year you talked about touches for Letty, whether it's running the ball or in the pass game. Does that still apply this year to your 4 guys?
Man, we got to find a way to get these guys on the field. We'll play multiple guys. It's definitely going to be 2 guys that play. But we'll have multiple guys that play. And the good thing in this offense, play a lot of 20 personnel, like intentional 20 personnel. Like that's just within the offense itself is 20 personnel. So, and that's on those guys. They got to prove those guys wrong that they got the ability to go do it. They got to understand all the pass concepts. So when they're in the game, one guy's in protection, the other guy that's in route knows where to fit within that pass concept. So they got a lot on their plate too to learn the responsibility of the pass game, to go out there and be productive. They have been thus far. But we'll definitely play more than 1 back. Definitely play 2. Got to find a way to probably play 3 of those guys. They all talented. They all bring something different to the table. 2 at the same time.
And could one possibly go to the slot or different places depending upon what
Possibly
you do?
down the line, some game plan stuff. But just based on what we have offensively right now, 2 at the same time, definitely. Yeah. And we've done a lot of that up to this point. So.
It's 2 of your guys in the field, but some coaches like it, some coaches don't.
No, I love it, and that's where they got to be unselfish for each other. They got to be able to block for one another. They got to be able to communicate. They got to be able to make sure both of them in the right spot, in terms of like the route concepts. Can't screw up the pass concept being in the wrong spot. Got to create the spacing that we need within the pass concept to make it work. So they got to understand that. But the biggest thing, I think the passing part is easy. I think the hardest thing to do is to go out there and be the lead block for one another. And they've done a phenomenal job doing that. Justin Johnson, in particular, he's done a phenomenal job doing that. So if they can do that for one another and make the plays that they've made thus far to this point, man, it'd be hard to keep them off the football field. But they've been very consistent, being able to run and block and make some plays. So just got to continue to stack that consistency for the next 7 days.
Add a different energy or focus or attention, because it does require so many things. I imagine spring can be tedious after a while, but when you have run blocking, for example, probably plugged in more than they would be at the very end normally.
Say it one more time.
It just seems like it brings a better energy, attention, focus. If you're doing something that's new and different and challenging, it's not kind of a monotonous thing you're running that. Does that help?
Right, it does help. That does help. And even when they get it, because like the very first day we implemented installed 20 personnel, which there was 2 backs. So we were on the first day when we were just out there in helmets. So at this point right now, they understand it. Now it's just all the nuances and all the different looks. They get off of it. They can't get bored with the, they actually, like, I know this assignment. I know I got this particular person. Now they got to start to understand the different things the defense could throw at us that may throw us off. They got to be able to adjust to it, adjust the D-line movement, have the athleticism to adjust to it and get to the right guy. So can't get bored with it, but it is something that's different for them. It's challenging, and they enjoy it. So it makes it fun. Makes it fun to coach when they know what they're doing.
You lost a back-to-back 1,000-yard rusher. Well, would you say 1 to 4, this is the deepest your room's been since you've been in?
Top to bottom, I would say this is probably the most talented room. It's definitely the most talented room I had since I've been. Top to bottom, they were a talented kid. Now they obviously, Tony Mathis is the only one right now that has some production on the playing field. Those other guys, you guys hadn't seen them in the game situations, so they got to go out there and do it and prove it. But just in terms of just sheer talent, they got to do it. Now they got to, Tony's doing a great job being a leader and leading those guys, but they got to do a great job of studying the game. Beyond what's required, beyond these meetings that we have on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturdays, they got to put in that time on their own to go study the comments and study their playbooks and all the install that they got to study it. But just in terms of just talent, they all got the ability. They all got the ability to make some plays. All of them. They've shown that thus far to this point. It's just a consistency deal. So I would say right now, like the most consistent guys have been Tony and Justin. The other 2 guys got to continue to come on and make some plays. And Lynn Jay's starting to get to that point again since Saturday in terms of his consistency. And then Jaylen Anderson just got to continue to come on. But top to bottom, they all talented, all of them.
You mentioned Lynn Jay. Reputation as a speed guy, home run guy. Have you seen that? What do you see out of him? And what areas, when you talk about him having to learn this part of the game, what's he still need to do?
He's just learning the offense. I think it's different. I don't know if it's much different than what he's done in terms of the offense itself. Just the terminology is probably different for him. So he's just got to, and we all got to learn terminology. Some of it's a little different for us. So we try to find ways to, make this, similar to what we did before in terms of the word and whatnot. But he just got to continue just to learn it. Home run speed, I have seen the home run speed. And if he's consistent in his action and what he's supposed to do assignment-wise, we'll see a lot of that home run speed. But we have seen it. We have seen it, some flashes of it. So hopefully we can turn those flashes into consistency. So.
Okay, anything else for Coach? All right, thank you very much.
Hey, appreciate y'all.